We appreciate you being here since this program is optional and discusses best practices for your consideration. If you are thinking of adopting any of them, please make sure to review the requirements in your region with your manager, including those related to contacting consumers. As a real estate agent, you can tap into AI tools like Microsoft Copilot, our recommended tool, to create reports, presentations, emails, and marketing materials. It can help streamline tasks and boost efficiency. Remember, AI is not always spot on, so it is essential that you proofread and ensure the information is accurate because ultimately you are responsible for the content. When using AI-generated content, consider adding a disclosure like content generated with AI assistance. Also, stay compliant with copyright laws, ethical standards, and fair housing regulations. Lastly, exercise good judgment, protect confidential information, and review AI-generated content thoughtfully. We do want to highlight the importance of the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, better known as TCPA. The general rules are that it's okay to call people if the person recently gave you their phone number, but remember to check the DNC list first if you haven't spoken to that person or contacted the lead in a while. You will also want to check the DNC lists anytime you don't have express permission. Automated calling and texting platforms should never be used. Pre-recorded messages and artificial voices should never be used. You will be personally liable for any violations of the TCPA. And here on this slide is how you can access the Do Not Contact list within Desk.
Welcome, everybody, to our collaboration workshop with the CBR social media team. Today, we're going to be discussing recommendations and strategies that are entirely focused on social media and luxury so that we can showcase ways to craft an online presence that really resonates with affluent clientele. My name is Alyssa Mahoney, and I am the Luxury Marketing Manager for Southern California and the Southwest regions. And joining me from the Global Luxury team, who was just speaking with you, is Morgan Dersh, our Luxury Marketing Manager for the North Central region, which spans across markets in Minnesota, Missouri, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So now, I would like to allow the social media team to introduce themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and switch our slides here. And then starting with Ariana, do you mind just please introducing yourself, including the region or regions that you cover? And then can you each share just one quick social media tip to kick things off?
Absolutely. So my name is Ariana Berta, and I am the social media specialist for the West. So I cover Arizona, Maine, which is Washington and Oregon, California, Colorado, Hawaii, and did I miss one? I feel like I'm missing one. Utah. Utah. Did not forget about Utah. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my handle is at ABMKTG. And one of my social media tips is the biggest thing standing between you and having a social media presence is you. If you're nervous or scared, just take out your phone, set it up, and press record. Okay? It's that simple. Just start doing it. And I'm going to pass it off to Tiffany.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tiffany Giles. I'm the social media specialist for the Midwest region. So I have Mid-Atlantic, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Chicago. Oh my goodness, we're all losing track of we have a lot of regions going on. But my number one social media tip for you guys today is that social media is a long game strategy when it comes to your overall marketing strategy. So it is not a quick fix. It is something that takes time and commitment, but it is totally worth it if you put in the time for it. And I'm going to pass it to Nicole.
Hi, everybody. I am Nicole. I am focused on the Southeast region and also Texas. And I guess my tip for everybody would be that when you guys are filming, this is my biggest thing. And if you've ever been on one of my calls, make sure that your screens are cleaned off prior to filming. Any photo that you take, make sure you're wiping your lens off because that is going to make a huge difference between taking blurry photos and a really nice professional style photo.
Honestly, I'm glad that you shared that tip because that is the one thing I am most notorious for forgetting. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. Really appreciate the time that you're going to take. For everybody on this call, we're going to run through a couple of slides here and there, and we're also going to have some questions for our ladies here. So just know that we're going to kind of be shifting things up a little bit for our cadence and our format here, but I'm going to start by kicking it over to Morgan.
All right, so when it comes to really thinking about the type of content that you want to start pulling for creating some social media content, we do already have so many different resources that are available through Coldwell Banker. So the first is we have MarketQuest available to help you pull data. You can pull reports regularly to try and understand more about what's happening in the market, what your luxury buyers are searching for, what price points are trending, what neighborhoods are gaining interest. And you can use that data to really shape your content calendar rather than kind of guessing what your audience wants to see. We also just recently launched a Coldwell magazine this year. There are so many incredible articles and content that's been put together within this magazine. And that's another great piece that you can share on social media, whether it's graphics or videos from either the Coldwell magazine Instagram channel itself, or pulling some of those content pieces from the magazine as it comes out. And it just helps to really show that you as an agent kind of working within the luxury space, that you understand luxury, not just luxury real estate. And then I'd also say leveraging the trend report for content creation. Our trend report is going to be coming out within the next 2 weeks, but it's highly researched. And we use the trend reports to really share detailed information about what's happening in the market. So you as agents can make educated decisions when it comes to targeted marketing and understanding where to really put your focus and energy. So love the trend reports. And they also just help you to position yourself as someone who really understands kind of that larger narrative and that bigger picture of what's happening in real estate across the nation, maybe not just in or connected to one specific metro. The next iteration of this report, like I said, it's going to be coming out next month, and it'll help supplement the full year trend report that comes out. It'll be our mid-year report. And we're also going to share some more information about an upcoming workshop that you can attend just to hear a little bit more about the trend report. Okay, and then we can go to the next slide.
So if you are looking for easy to post content, look no further. We send out a weekly social media content drop email that comes with a pre-made social media post and caption that you can easily copy and paste. This email comes out every Monday. It's different real estate adjacent content. You can most of the time customize it to have your headshot, your contact information. You can even rebrand it to match your own branding. And it also comes along with other things like an AI prompt of the week and a social media spotlight for somebody that we recommend to follow. This is great because it's just one post. You don't have to think about every single week. That's handled for you. If you are interested and you want to sign up, just go to socialmediasignup.com, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. We will also drop this in the chat so you can sign up as well. But this is just the easiest way to get some content out on your pages without even having to think about it. Thank you, Nicole. She just dropped it in the chat for you all.
Yes, I absolutely love the social media content drop that you guys have put together. I do have a question. I'm curious, and I'll ask this to Tiffany just because I get to work the closest with you. Do you have a good example of maybe like a social media brand, whether it's real estate or a luxury lifestyle brand that a real estate agent could really look at to be more inspired by the kind of content that they're posting? Something that really reaches like that high-end clientele while still finding the balance of being entertaining and warm or playful. But just curious if you have any recommendations like that.
Yes, my top pick, and I can drop it in the chat in one moment, is Jacquemus. And this is a fashion house, a fashion specific brand. But what I love about them is that they are able to seamlessly blend high end and low end content. So content that is straight from iPhone is not something that historically would go on a fashion house page. Like years ago, that was unheard of. But now more than ever, people really value authenticity. And I think it goes to show that you don't always need a super high professional camera. You don't always need to be on a full photo shoot or have professional videography. That what we call lo-fi content, or content that is low effort, is super realistic. And I think now more than ever, a lot of the higher end brands are starting to really blend both worlds. So I think it's really cool to see. And I'm going to drop that Instagram in the chat just so you guys can see.
Please do.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I love that. All right, and then let's go ahead and go right back into, I think we've got another slide.
Great accounts. Another great way to inspire your social media content, kind of based off of that question, that response there, is following other luxury accounts on Instagram, on social media, specifically luxury realtors. So take some time to really identify maybe 5 to 10 luxury agents nationally, globally, wherever, whose social media presence you admire, and follow them, because this will help keep them on your feed and allow you to really study their cadence, their aesthetic, their captions and storytelling. And the intention here isn't really to copy what they're doing, but to calibrate your own standard of excellence, like being inspired by them in a sense, right? And so to give you some ideas, the social media team has provided a few of their favorite recommendations from throughout Coldwell Banker Realty, which you can see here on the screen. So we have Holly Hatch, we have the Veil team, and then we have Joshua Barris. And so you can see here, we have a few different options that you can follow. Please feel free to follow them on Instagram. But I do want to go ahead and just pass it over to Tiffany now to highlight a few different real examples for videos from fellow realtors that work really well. And so we want to kind of talk through examples of luxury content that is a good foundation or baseline for you to kind of reference when you're putting together your own content. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this over. And what I'm going to do is play each video one by one for everybody, and then I'll let Tiffany kind of speak to them. So I'm going to start with the very first one here.
Look, I got very lucky, and I was able to sell the most expensive house in Biscayne Park. People only see the closing. They don't see that 127 showings plus 28 open houses. So this is one of the reasons why Biscayne Park is so special. It's a city with 975 homes with their own police department. We were just out here, and look, the policeman just came over to ask, like, hey, what's going on? And then he's like, can I see the house? We said, come on, just come and check it out. This is what we're doing last minute. So here we're running because the client that bought it is hitting here in the next 10 minutes, and we're trying to record something. Whew. My wife's gonna kill me because the reason why there's 3 is because one of them broke. But guess what? House got sold, so we can get over it. Times like this, obviously super pumped because we're closing today. This house has been on the market for 4 months, 4 crucial months, because we listed at the end of December, a time where you should not be listing, but my client didn't want to lose any time. December 26th, the time started counting. The architecture is a very modern architecture, but we're surrounded by all these trees that you feel that you are in an oasis. And the house is built like a tank with 20-foot ceilings, all kinds of touches that makes it very special. We found a person that loved everything about this house, because this person said, you know what, I want it, I don't want to fight with anyone else. Let me pay cash and let's do a quick close. I tend to fall in love with every property that I sell. So I start coming here at different times of the day to feel it out. By the time that I turn the keys over, it seems like, man, I'm passing a chapter in my life. This is why I do what I do. As a matter of fact, he just told us to move the car, so let's move the car.
Kids are out of the house, retirement's on the horizon, and you're finally eligible for a 55 and up community. Here's what they don't tell you about being an empty nester. You'll have to get used to no big family dinners every single night. Or you can eat anywhere you want, anytime you want, anything you want. Darn. You'll have so much time on your hands, you won't know what to do with yourself. You'll be bored. Or you can dedicate more time to your favorite hobbies. Coffee drip and I don't mind. You'll have to downsize or get used to less yard work and fewer chores. You'll finally have the time and energy to just go have fun. I'm Wendy Helms with Coldwell Banker here in Charleston, South Carolina. Let me help you find that perfect fit for this new exciting chapter in your life.
A girl hid an AirTag in a piece of chicken and threw it out into the ocean. She started tracking its location on her phone, and to her surprise, it traveled all the way to this two-bed condo in Irvine, California.
Better if we keep it when we don't know the best we've been in, the names and the faces of who we were with. And oh, ain't nobody perfect, but it's all good. Past can't hurt us if we don't look. Let's let it go. Better if we fall in love with our eyes closed. I got tunnel vision every second, let you with me. No, I don't care what anybody says, just kiss me. 'Cause you look like trouble, but it could be good. I've been the same kind of misunderstood. Whatever you've done, just it ain't nothing new. You know by now we've seen it all. Say, oh, we should fall in love with our eyes closed. Better if we keep it where we don't know the best we've been in, the names and the faces of who we were changing. Oh, ain't nobody perfect, but it's all good. The past can't hurt us if we.
Oh, those
Okay,
were all so
so
many.
obviously all
Oh,
three
go
of
ahead,
these
Alyssa.
reels. Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, all three of these reels have very different content, right? So, Tiffany, I wanted to kind of toss the mic over to you here. But like, for each of the videos, what do you think we really like learned from each of them? What worked well, and what did that kind of tell us about each of those agents, right?
Yeah, I think what's really cool is that these are all listing videos, right? But they all did them very differently. And I love how like they elevated them in their own way, just to show like you don't have to do just the standard listing video. So with the first one, what I thought was really, really strong is that he doesn't just show you the end result of the fact that he sold the home. He shows you the process and all of the stats that went into him selling it. The fact that he had to overcome that he sold it at a difficult time of year, the fact that he knew a lot specifically about the neighborhood. So he could have easily just posted a photo and said just sold. But instead of doing that, he shows you exactly why, as a client, you should choose him. He shows you exactly why his process is fine-tuned in everything that he does. So I think this is a great example of show the process, not just the end result, which is something that's huge on social media right now. For the second one, I really enjoyed the fact that the agent was not afraid to be specific. So we knew exactly who she was talking to. We see it in the title slide. She's talking to an empty nester. So sometimes people cast the net too wide with who they're trying to target on social media and they just want to talk to everybody. But look how incredible it is when you get very specific and you're talking to the pain points, or in this case, the celebration of one person. The empty nester could be feeling sad, right? Their children are leaving, they're going into a new scary phase of life, but she made it sound great and she made it sound like a really cool transition. And so I thought that that was an excellent example of really honing in on who your target client is. And then for the last
I
one,
also
that
think
was
it was I also love that she kind of really tapped into the lifestyle element. Like it wasn't just, oh, you're in this phase of life. It was like, but this phase of life is a lifestyle, and here's how you can really kind of maximize that lifestyle in a sense.
1000%. Yeah, I thought that that was incredible. And I think it's so relevant to so many people. And that's a market that I don't think is really tapped into enough. So I thought that that was great. And then for the last one, it was just absolutely hilarious. It grabs your attention instantly because who puts an air tag in a piece of chicken and throws it? Like you're instantly like, what is going to
So
happen
true.
by the end of this video? And so you're already hooked. And by the time you're there, you want to watch the rest of it. So I thought that that was a really cool element, and it's a very, very good example of capturing someone's attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds of a video. So love all of these.
And in case anybody wanted to rewatch any of these reels, Nicole did throw links to each of them into the chat so you can catch them at a later point as well. But But again, like you can do it differently. You don't have to do the same thing as any of these people, but just know that there are different ways to really put your content together, especially when you're promoting yourself, your business, your listings. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That last video, right? We're talking about putting an air tag in a piece of chicken and chucking it in the ocean, and that's how we're starting a real estate video. So this kind of makes me wonder, right? When you look at agents who are winning on social media right now, what do you think that like they understand that most agents are missing? Like there are different elements to the content that gets put out and selecting what you're sharing and how you're sharing it. So like what is considered like a winning social media to you for luxury agents?
I'll take this one. So I think that the agents that are winning on social media today understand that they're not just selling real estate, but they're building a personal brand, right? So many agents still just focus on listings and self-promotion, and the top performers create content that educates, entertains, and builds trust. They know that people follow personalities and valuable insights, not just homes, right? If they go to a profile and they see listing after listing after listing, that's not engaging. They're not going to want to follow. They're not going to like and subscribe to any of that content. But when they see a real person, their real personality showing their day-to-day life and what they're doing, that's what they really want to see, and that's what they're going to engage with the most.
Yeah,
Those were
absolutely.
really, really good. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Morgan.
Oh, I was just going to say, I completely agree with that. And I think the content that we see that is the most engaging is something that just really helps us to connect with that person. I love the examples you guys chose. I felt like they were all so relatable. The last one, I can't say I ever put an air tag in a chicken, but it really caught your attention, and it was just so funny. And for a second, I wondered if we'd accidentally pulled up the wrong video. But just how much it grabbed my attention was good. So love that. Thank you, girls.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of shift gears a little bit, but this all kind of ties in, right? Like bringing your personality, your insights into your social media is all kind of about creating a personal brand and an identity online. And so I'm gonna share a slide really quickly, and here we are, and talk a little bit about what it means to build your brand online. So, obviously we've spent some time looking at content strategies and good examples from other luxury agents. But one of the biggest mistakes that you can make as an agent on social media is really trying to copy someone else's brand. At the end of the day, it's all about your unique personality, your authenticity, your unique voice. And so building your own brand is the foundation for having a really strong social media and a very strong presence as a luxury agent. Obviously every agent sells the same thing on paper. We're selling homes, you're selling service. And what clients remember afterwards isn't so much what you sold, it's how you made them feel. The reality is really that your personal brand is one of the most valuable assets that you have, because no one else can really replicate it, right? It's all your own. And so the first step in really defining what sets you apart is thinking about your clients and the experience that you're providing them. So think about like what your clients say about you that they wouldn't say about any other agent. Are there trends in your client reviews that are easily strung together that are kind of consistent? What do you do better than most agents in your market area? And if you asked your top clients what they couldn't have done without you, like what would they say? It's really just identifying what you're doing that stands out, that's unique to you. Maybe you're incredibly detail oriented, or your marketing is just next level beyond what anyone else will do. Maybe you're just really exceptional at guiding first-time buyers through the process, or you have a very strong niche and experience in empty nesters. Maybe your strength is helping luxury sellers maximize their value through renovations and staging and design and presenting the home in the best possible way. Whatever it is, those strengths really should become part of your brand story, and that should be kind of melded into what it is that you're putting out there in all of your marketing. But there's also a second piece to this. So Morgan, what would you say that is?
Yeah, it's more about really building your brand through your personality. So you guys can see there's a practice that we're going to do in a minute. So while I talk through these next few pieces, I'd encourage those that are on the call to start thinking about maybe one interest, value, or lifestyle that reflects your personality or identity. So as Alyssa said, you can look at what sets you apart as an agent, but also what makes you you. Luxury clients aren't just looking to hire an agent, they also really want to hire a person that they trust. They want to know who you are, what you value, and what your world looks like. So think beyond real estate for a moment. What kinds of things do people come to you for? What are your interests, your hobbies, maybe like passions or areas of expertise? What are parts of the business that you genuinely enjoy doing the most? Maybe you have a strong eye for interior design. Maybe you love gardening and can recognize different parts of landscaping in homes. So I'd encourage everyone just to take a minute and maybe drop into the chat. We'd love to see some examples of an interest of yours or a value that you bring to your clients. And then we can kind of pick the brains of our social media team and see if we can generate a content idea kind of around any of your interests. And I'll give people a few seconds to put some in. It can be anything, even if it feels like it's not necessarily connected to real estate. There's so much that can be done.
I just wanted to jump in. Grant, I love what you wrote here. He said, I feel like I have a personal brand, but maybe not. I think we can all feel that just a little bit because it's such a hard process when you guys are doing this. You really have to think about what your love is and what you want to focus on. So some of the other responses were cooking, traveling, and if I'm not mistaken, Grant really, I believe he likes to focus on football and NFL players or sports or something like that. So he really drives on that specifically. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong, Grant, but I'm pretty sure you do have a niche and you kind of have to like really go for it and go after what you feel is best for you and your brand, because it's not just about selling homes. It's about selling the lifestyle that you're trying to create.
Let's see. I see another one that popped up a few times, travel. Would one of you guys be willing to maybe help generate a content idea surrounding someone who's really passionate about travel? What could that look like on a social media account? And how could that really be connected to real estate to help attract a luxury buyer?
I think one of the biggest things you can think about is a lot of people have vacation homes. So if your thing is travel, right, you can look into maybe some of the places you're going and what vacation homes are available. Or sometimes there are, what's the word I'm thinking of? Partial ownership, like at different resorts or hotels where you can share ownership with other people and rotate throughout the year, right? So you're tying in your love for travel and then also real estate in general, and that could potentially get leads for you if you're referring out to other agents in different countries or, you know, states, wherever you're traveling to, and you can tie that in together.
Yeah, I love that. Tiffany, you want to go ahead and add something to that as well?
Yeah, I also think it could be cool. And I've seen this done on social where I'm always a huge fan of like doubling down on the areas that you work in. And I think even if you love travel, there are ways to combine that. And it could look like maybe turning individual neighborhoods into like their own travel guides or making them kind of have the same feel as a travel page, but doing it within your own neighborhood and kind of showing the beauty and the destination and where you already live. And I think that helps you actually sell the area. And it really helps to reinforce that you are the expert. So I think there are so many ways to really combine pretty much anything you love.
Absolutely. Honestly, to piggyback on that too, you think about if you work in a travel destination, like leveraging that kind of concept to help entice people who are traveling there to actually buy another home, like a secondary home there or a vacation home there, right? There are a lot of different ways you could go about that. Another thing that I think of often when I think of travel is, if you do travel often, providing your own recommendations or like guides as you're traveling to different places that you can share with other people online that may be interested in going there, whether that's just tips for traveling internationally or places to visit, things to see, giving kind of sneak peeks so that if somebody is intrigued, they kind of get to follow along with you, and it helps them to kind of put together their own itinerary if they were to eventually go there. Yeah, I want to add that one on as well.
I want to add just one more thing. There's an agent that I've worked with in Minneapolis who loves to travel as well. And she created on her Instagram profile a bunch of highlights about the places that she's traveled. And the idea isn't to become like a travel influencer, but she has so many friends and connections that just love to like go take a look and will come and ask her, about some of her recommendations in the visiting these places. And her page also has so much information about the homes that she's listing and what her and her team are doing. And so she's still able to stay top of mind with her clients and those who are out traveling just as she is, while also sharing a piece of something that is more connected to her.
I also
Another
saw
thing too is
somebody listed and said golf was theirs. I think you could have a lot of fun with that and go to different golf courses in your region, or maybe if you're traveling and do like, a couple clips of you playing golf there, maybe ranking it out of all the other ones you've been to, and then also like maybe featuring properties that are on golf courses or nearby golf courses, so you're really able to tie in that passion that you have and like you playing golf with real estate as well. So that's a fun idea that you could do for whoever said that they were passionate about golf.
hey, I think we
Yeah,
might.
very good.
Do we want to move on, or does anyone want us to kind of specifically speak to one of theirs? I think I love what Tiffany just added in the chat, actually. Do you want to say that out loud?
Yeah, someone put cooking, and I think I've seen it so many times, especially like on cooking shows. And I think it's funny now. I've seen people hook their mics that they're using for social on like a random object. So like you can put it on a spoon, or you could put it on like a kitchen related object and film in your kitchen or cook while you're filming. So many people can relate to having to cook a meal. And so I think when you give that baseline thing that's like super relatable to everybody, you can capture people's attention and they almost start to look at it almost like their favorite TV show. It could be a series. So just an idea. And I think that could also apply to baking. Like this, I saw someone just put that in the chat. You can use the same concept for that.
Honestly, with cooking and baking, there's downtime, right? So if you're making a video where maybe you are like sharing a recipe or talking about like cooking, you could also in between, like if that were something that you wanted to do, right? You could use that downtime to talk about real estate and what's going on in the market and make it like a 2-for-1 as well. I think there are a few different ways that you could go about that for sure. Okay. I think we probably have gone through a few examples here, so I think maybe we can move forward. But basically, the point here really isn't to become a gardening, or baking or cooking or golfing or whatever influencer, right? The point is to use something that's authentically you as a lens to tell your story. So obviously, like we said, think about your specific interest and think about what content you can create from that outside of just plain old real estate. On the topic of creating your personal brand online, in luxury we spend a lot of time really talking about like the importance of authenticity and having your own identity, but I have a question for our social media team here, because I am curious what your take is on this. If an agent's true personality leans really heavily towards, humor and playfulness, just being funny and lighthearted, can that be problematic? Like, can a luxury agent actually have fun on social media, or is there such a thing as like too much fun? Like, think about literally that reel earlier with the chicken wing, right? Like, that's funny and that's lighthearted. Is that technically possibly going to undermine their brand, or is there a line that they have to be careful not to cross? Like, how is that something that would be determined? What do you guys?
I'll take this one. So I think that luxury agents can absolutely have fun on social media. In fact, many of the strongest luxury brands today, like outside of real estate, use humor, personality, and storytelling to feel more approachable and memorable for their clients, right? The key is understanding that luxury isn't about being serious, but it's about being intentional. Right. So the line isn't being like between being fun and professional. It's between content that reinforces your brand versus content that distracts from it, which you don't want to do. So ultimately, that line is personal for each agent. Like they will be able to decide for themselves, and it should be defined by your own values, your own personality, your target audience, and your business goals, not by like what other agents are doing, right? Because everybody is different. They have a different business, they have a different personality. You shouldn't just be copying what other people are doing. The most successful luxury agents aren't trying to fit into a luxury stereotype. They're building a brand that feels authentic to them and resonates with the clients that they want to attract.
Honestly, that's all true, and I couldn't agree more. There are very specific examples that I can think of in Southern California specifically. Danchui Real Estate Group, the example that you showed earlier, they love to incorporate a lot of like humor into their videos that just makes them more relatable because they're the main agents on that team are a married couple, and so they include like kind of elements that have to do with their family and like standard bickering of couples, but it draws you in, it makes them feel real and authentic while also still staying professional. And I think Tim Smith is also a really great example of this too. He's really created a brand that reflects his personality, but also like leverages humor to highlight his listings in a way that's really unique. And it actually balances that level of professionalism with his fun, lighthearted personality. So there are definitely a few brands that are in agents specifically that do this really, really well. But I do agree there is a balance to it, and it is possible to do both. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing our slides again here. And then kick this over to the social media team.
All right, perfect. So we have created some highlight covers that you can use for your Instagram profile that will just give you an elevated look. A lot of times I see highlight covers that don't necessarily match or they aren't brand specific. So we did create some that are pre-made and ready for you to instantly download. You can scan this QR code and you can add those to your Instagram account instantly.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit so anybody who's on the call can scan it to access those images. And it'll just help to kind of clean up your social media profile a little bit more for a little bit more of an elevated luxury look. While we leave that up for agents to scan, Morgan, do we have any other questions for the group?
I did have a question since we have a little bit of extra time, and you three also have such phenomenal social media accounts that you are also posting your own content on. I'd love to hear from, and I'm just going to pick on Nicole, if you could maybe describe your social media profile in 3 words, what would be a way that you would kind of describe how you represent yourself on your social media page?
Way to put me on the spot here. I
Take
think
your time.
3 words that would represent what I would want it to be perceived as is confident, knowledgeable, and approachable. Yeah, I think that those would be like the 3 words that would make the most impact and what I would want to put out there. And what I think everybody needs to think about is, does this current content align with the image that you're trying to perceive or put off to others? So you really want to think of your page as a digital extension of your personal brand itself. And every post that you're creating should reinforce that and how you want people to perceive you.
Absolutely. I love that you added that too. And I heard you say like you wanted to, but your social media account, I think, definitely fits those 3 words, comes off as very approachable and confident. So I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. And to add to that, we do have a self-auditing guide that we can throw up. We have a slide for this as well. So if you guys are looking to really enhance what you're showcasing and put out the information that you want to be perceived as, this guide is going to walk you through those steps. And I think it will be very helpful for all agents to really look over this.
We absolutely love that self-audit guide. So I'm really glad you brought that up. I think on the luxury team, we tend to put that and promote it with our agents very often. So please scan the QR code if you have not seen this already. I do have another question, and maybe Tiffany can take this one. What trends are you currently seeing on social media within the real estate space? And are any of them showing up in like the luxury realm specifically?
Yeah, so I think 2 really big ones, and one is an example of one of the reels we showed earlier, is really like pulling back the veil and showing the process. So people don't just want to see the end result. They really do want to know what your process is and why they should use you. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that you have to give away all of your tips and tricks. Like, we don't want you to give away everything to competitors, but we do want people to be able to see the differentiation between you and someone else. So I think that that's one huge piece. And you'll even see this in big name brands. They're showing you behind the scenes of photo shoots, behind the scenes of video shoots, how they actually set products up, how they go through the process of sourcing things. Like, that's really big on social right now. And then I would say one other trend is really using social media as a search engine. So because sites like Instagram and Facebook are now indexed by Google, your keywords, the things that you say in your videos, the text that you use on your content, all of that is content that can be searched. And so people now more than ever are using platforms like Instagram as an actual Google search engine. So really being cognizant of the keywords that you're using and making sure that you are putting your best foot forward in every single post that you put out.
Honestly, the one word that comes to mind when you said all of that is just intentionality. Like, really being intentional about what it is that you're saying and what you're putting out there. It doesn't have to have a lot of forethought per se, just making sure that there is a good intention behind it, and it really ties into whatever it is that you're trying to represent, what it is that you're trying to really say, and that it is very clear in that sense. So thank you. I appreciate that response. That was beautiful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share our slides again because we have a few content formats that we wanted to share or recommend, I guess, more so for luxury content. So I'm going to get the slide up here.
Okay, so these are the 3 content formats that drive engagement. Number 1 is going to be video carousels. I love this topic right now. I think it's huge. Everybody is using it, and video carousels are one of the highest performing formats that are out there currently. They recently changed the algorithms. So what happens is they're actually rewarding curiosity and keeps viewers swiping. So more swipes signal strong engagements to the algorithm, and actually showcases each slide as one view. So you're getting more views on, which is creating more exposure on your carousels. And one of the things that's nice about carousels is that you start it with a very strong hook at the very beginning, and you can actually have it unfold naturally instead of making it feel rushed or having too much content on one physical slide.
I want to add to that really quick. I think also a good way to start this off is if you are already working with a videographer who goes through and films your listings, why not ask them to maybe just share a couple of the best clips from the house that are 10-second quick little clips, and then you could easily upload that into social media to create that video carousel. Would you say so, Nicole? Kind of what would be the next step that you would recommend after getting that content, I should say?
You're saying like after getting the content for...
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about ways to make this easier. And I know a lot of agents just already work with a videographer who will put something together for them. But how could they use that videographer or connection to create these video carousels that you mentioned?
I would say taking clips so you can screenshot them if you wanted to, and from the videographer, taking that, using it as your background image in a sense, and then adding text from Canva would be a great way to do that as well.
Okay,
I think
thank you.
I've heard of like a tool called Opus Clips, maybe that's like an AI one. Is that like a good? I haven't tried it, but is that like, would that be a good option too?
Yeah, Opus Clip would be a very good one. If you guys are doing any type of recording on webinars, you can just take that video, throw it into Opus Clip, and we can add it to a link here for that as well. And then you would get a small reel that you can then pop out and throw right onto your social media platforms. We use it all the time.
Great.
On the topic of
and
reels, oh, good.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to go in with that second content idea, but did you want to add something, Alyssa? Okay. So what I love about this 10-second reel with a caption hook is sometimes trying to film social media content while you're already so busy as an agent and going in between appointments can be a lot. But with the 10-second reel, and if you just like do a quick search, or maybe we can find some examples, it would be 10 seconds of you doing anything. I mean, this one that we have showing is someone kind of walking out of a luxury listing. I've also seen some where someone just films themselves working on the computer for 10 seconds. And then you add some kind of question that someone would be really interested in. So, is your home considered luxury? And then you ask them to check the caption, read the caption for details. And that's where you start to give a little bit more of that information. And so you're not putting together a full video that gives all of the education and the information. You're just doing a 10-second clip with a quick question. So that's also a really great format if you're very busy, or are just getting comfortable with posting on social media more regularly.
Honestly, it's a good one when we go back to both Nicole and Tiffany talking about like indexing and using social as like a search engine, how clients are doing that. Like this is a great way to kind of get more keywords into your posts, I would say, because you're able to put a lot more text in those captions. And especially if you're not, to Morgan's point, like really comfortable being on camera yet, it's a great way to kind of very subtly include yourself in a video without having to speak and have a whole script and feel, extremely confident behind a camera. So it's just a good option to kind of start incorporating video into your socials a bit more. And then the third format that I wanted to talk about is magazine style photo carousels. So in my opinion, this is a very underused format that really elevates the brand almost immediately. I think this is also one of the ones that really just creates an almost automatic like luxury feel, and because of that kind of editorial element. So basically the idea here is that instead of posting a standard photo or listing photo in a grid, having like four images on one grid, or even just posting one property image on your social media, the idea is to kind of blow them up so that the images kind of bleed across a carousel. So if you're swiping and the image kind of continues, and it feels a little bit more like a magazine spread or an editorial article, right? And it just feels less like a social media post at that point. And so more like flipping through a magazine, flipping through a luxury real estate editorial spread. And so for high-end properties, especially, this format really just signals that you treat every listing and every piece of content with extra care and artistry, and you're really trying to highlight all of the details. You're not cramming everything into the small space that you have available. You're giving all of the details as much attention as they deserve, in a sense, right? And I think that just helps to kind of highlight, again, not just that you work in luxury and that you have a bit more attention to detail, but that visual continuity alone really communicates luxury before a single word is even seen or read. Does anyone have anything to kind of add on just those magazine style carousels?
What I would say is I think they look extremely editorial, and I use them a lot for the Metro pages when I do property features. They really just like add something different than just having a plain carousel with just 10 photos in a row, honestly. So I prefer them for sure.
And especially if you have a property that like you want to really highlight again, like the details in an image, like being able to blow it up so that it's bleeding across multiple carousel images rather than just cropping it to fit that one space really allows you to not miss a single detail when you're sharing it online. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing slides now. I think we're just going to pop over to maybe one last question, Morgan, and then we can maybe finish off and go to Q&A.
Just wanted to wrap up kind of this content section before we move on to audience questions. So we'll go ahead and unmute mics in just a minute, but I want to give Nicole just a second to talk to us a little bit about trending content formats. And there's a question that we hear pretty often. When you spot a trend, a format, a sound, a style of video, how do you take that trend and then like make it your own instead of just copying it? I think that's something that we've talked a lot about during this workshop too, of don't copy, make it your own. But how do you elevate something and make it feel really appropriate for a luxury audience without just copying it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because we always see content and we see trending posts. We know we like it, but I think what we need to do is figure out and study why they are working and why you're attracted to it. So you want to ask yourself, is it the hook? Did they hit you right away with the first sentence that really got you to watch the whole thing? Is it their storytelling? Like we just saw Zulu in the reel. If you go to his page, he's constantly showcasing his process and his story, but it's making you want to watch the whole video in a very enticing way. But he is doing it in a very luxury style format. And I think that's what you can learn if you're studying and you're seeing, you can see these little tools and vocabulary words that he's using to really make his page more luxury style than it would be just a regular page of you going on there and being like, hey, this is my new listing, check it out. He doesn't do things like that. And I think that is why it stands out and makes him feel more luxury. So, make sure when you're looking at these pages and what we showcase, find out what you're attracted to and go after those things and make it your own. And for luxury in general, I think using elevated visuals, make sure that you're slowing down your pacing when you're doing videos, and make it feel intentional and sophisticated.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's very well said. Awesome.
We
Well,
have
now
a little time left. Yeah. So maybe we'll answer some questions from the chat.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a Q&A so we can. Alyssa, are you able to go ahead and unmute? And then if you guys wouldn't mind just using the hand raise feature, and then that way we can go ahead and select you and hear your question. So anything about luxury or about luxury social media, especially, is on the table. So we want to hear kind of what are some things you're struggling with or questions that you have.
Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi. I'm Camille Rivas Rutherford with Caldwell Banker in Tucson, Arizona. And I've got a question. Regarding followers, organic followers or paid followers. When we're talking about social media, I've seen a lot of luxury agents that have 20,000 followers, 10,000 followers. Do you know if these agents are paying people to follow them? How do you get to that number? How do you get to that organic number? Instead of having our typical 1,300 followers, the people that know us, I think in luxury, especially if we want to do nationwide, international, how do we get to that place that we can gain that level of followers? Can you give us some counsel on that, please?
I'll first tackle the first part of your question about whether they're real or not.
Yes.
Instagram themselves have been tackling like bot followers or like paid or fake followers. So they regularly will go through and delete, like mass delete these fake accounts. So there are some people who will pay for fake account followers, which actually hurts their account more than they realize, because what happens is they have elevated follower accounts, but their engagement is not matching that, right? So they may buy 20,000 followers, but their likes and their comments and reach, everything else is staying the same because they're not actual people that are following them. So it hurts them and their content. It's not performing as well if those were actual real people following them. And then, a couple months later, Instagram will go through and delete all of those people that they paid, $1,000 or whatever to have follow them. So you really don't want to pay for them. We never recommend paying for followers. It's not going to help you out. You want them to be authentic. You want all of your engagement on social media to be authentic for you, because it'll show on your profile and it'll hurt you in the long run. What ends up happening is like a lot of the accounts that have more followers, it's a mix. I think a lot of them do a mix of organic content and paid advertising on social media, right? So they have their organic content, which is kind of what you said. Well, you'll have like your standard, maybe, 1,800 people that you know, or 2,000 people that you might know. And then maybe the rest is coming from what they're doing from paid social media advertising, where they're reaching people that they don't already know from their database or their sphere or their community or past clients or whatever it might be. But the key is that mix of having both organic and paid. Do I think that it's necessary to have paid advertising? No. There's a lot of people who have huge followers on their accounts and they've never used paid advertising before, but I do think it is a medium in which you can speed up and expedite that process to have more followers.
Another thing to note too is that the number of followers is really not an important element. Like, it's not something you should really be achieving for or like making a goal in your business. The real factor to kind of pay attention to that really shows and signifies that your social media is successful is that engagement.
Yeah.
And so like that's where the attention really should be spent, is trying to create content that people are going to engage with, whether it's organic and the people that already follow you that you know, or whether it is paid advertising and you're trying to get people to engage that you don't already know. But that really is like the main primary focus that you want to spend your kind of energy on when it comes to social, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
That was
I
so
agree.
good.
I
I love that. It's
I
so
have another.
true.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I just wanted to also like just feed off of that. We have to remember that understanding that luxury is a relationship business. So when you guys are focusing on luxury and social, they work hand in hand very well. But when you start posting things and you see that engagement and the interaction from others, and you're saying, how do I get the followers that I've never had before? I'm a new agent, I'm just starting out. You have to go to your sphere of influence. You have to go to who you already know and work with them. If you have no followers, then reach out to people who do. Start collaborating. That's like the fun thing about social, is that you're able to now tag and you can collaborate people who have following. And they can then, share their page. If you're putting out the content and it's good and it's resonating with people, they're going to follow you back and they're going to want more, for sure.
Love that. I do see we've got a couple
Absolutely.
more questions, so I'm going to jump into
Okay.
the next person that had their hand raised, just keeping an eye on the time. Grant, why don't you go ahead and come off mute and tell us your question?
My biggest struggle has been hooks. And so I feel like the content that you put out for luxury is like, hey, if you get a luxury listing, you have to talk about luxury. Like, hey, can you sell my home? Essentially, right? And with that luxury side and hooks, I kind of tend to struggle with it because I look at my analytics and in the first 3 seconds it's going down. And I'm like, I don't think my hooks are that bad, but apparently they are. And I don't know if I need to kind of channel my inner Mr. Beast per se. I don't know if this question is kind of getting across. Does this kind of make sense?
I think so, yes. I think it really depends on who your actual audience is, right? I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but like if you're tapping into a niche, in your case you are, where you're kind of focusing in on like the sports side of things, then you want to make sure that whatever your hook is directly speaking to that audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I don't know if it would be a thing like posting every day till Brock Purdy answers or something like that. Like, I don't know if that's the hook, or is
That's
it
a
more
fun
like,
idea.
if I were Brock Purdy, this is where I would buy in Utah to win a Super Bowl. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I think those are all very fun ideas. And I think if you're have any things that you'd like anyone from the social team or any of your field marketing partners to review, you can also send maybe some of those ideas or grab them when they're in the office to kind of brainstorm. But I like the suggestions that you're coming up with so far. Let's go ahead and go to one more person, and then just recognizing that we're getting close to the end of time. So Ozzy, if you want to go ahead and come off mute and then ask your question, love to hear it.
Thank you. So I'm listing my first luxury home. My wife is my partner, so she's on the other. Okay. I am listing my first luxury home in Lake Mary, Florida. Price point is almost 1.7. And the home has a new pickleball court, sports court, and it's adjacent to the pool. The bonus room is a badass performance gym. What content ideas would you suggest? I'm a 12-year realtor at Coldwell Banker in Winter Park. I love what I do, and it's my first luxury opportunity. So there you go.
I think there are probably a lot of things that the girls can speak to and they'll probably say, but one thing that comes to mind, I know we talked a little bit earlier about like lifestyle focused content. And I think that, if you meant, sorry, we're echoing a little bit, but you mentioned there's like a really, really neat like fitness area. Like maybe it's a content that like taps into the possibility of like living there and utilizing that space. And it's somebody who's literally just like sharing their workout routine, but it's in that space, right? And it's leveraging the lifestyle element of living in that home. I mean, obviously you can go beyond just that. That was just the first thought that came to mind. But I think tapping into what the experience would be as the actual homeowner if you were to buy that property and leveraging all of the various amenities and features in that property could be a really great angle to utilize on social media.
A fun idea you could do is even see if you can find like fitness influencers in your area and see if they'd be willing to like, hey, I have a really cool place that you can shoot content in and do a little collab with them, because then you'd be able to reach their audience. And if they have a pretty decent following, that's a brand new audience that you're tapping into that you normally wouldn't be able to. And you're giving them, a fun, new, fresh environment that they can film their videos that they're already doing, right? So you're kind of like giving them an opportunity and creating a new one for yourself. I was gonna recommend, like having a promo video where you have someone like same thing kind of lifestyle, like waking up in the morning, going to the kitchen, making a protein smoothie, going to the gym, doing a workout, diving into the pool after, like showing what it looks like to be living there. One of the things I do want to say is you mentioned that this is like your first luxury listing, and with that, like I've been with a few different agents when they get their first luxury listing, and you do want to take it serious. Like I recommend using listing concierge and getting the Lux package and like taking the stops for this listing, right? Because you want to get more luxury listings, especially if this is your first time tapping into that market, and you want to have the marketing materials to prove that you are an agent that can handle that caliber, and you want to obviously be successful with the sale. So when you order things like a listing concierge package with the Lux marketing, you have those brochures and those postcards and the single property website, all of those things to then present with your next listing presentation to show, okay, this is the kind of marketing I do for my clients. So this is a really big opportunity for you to show, okay, this is the next caliber of marketing and business that I can do.
Another thing too that you could leverage is, and this is like part of that collaboration component, right? Like maybe there's, I don't know, a local pickleball league that works in like that plays in like a local space, but you invite them to do like an event at the pickleball court at this property, and then they can post it on their socials and share it with their network and really tap into like, look at this property that we just did this pickleball tournament at, or something of that nature, right? Like kind of again leveraging collaborations and other local businesses and their networks that pair well or fit well with any of the features that are available within that property.
Thank you. Yeah, the pickleball aspect definitely is really interesting, and it's so because the pickleball is so hot right now.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
definitely is.
And it's pickleball season. I mean, you could even start a clip where you're hitting a pickleball or using your pickleball paddle, you're hitting a ball, and then adding in text that says, point of view, your home has a pickleball court right in the backyard, and then launch into a home tour, showing the court first. So you're definitely right. I think there's so much that you can do to really capture that just moment that pickleball is really having right now.
Morgan, I was just going to say, I was literally about to say that, but I was going to say it would be even funnier if you did not know how to play pickleball. And you're like, I don't know pickleball, but I do know about homes, and then go into the tour. But what I did also want to say is that, and this is for everyone, anytime you have a listing, you should have a multi-content approach. I have a post about this on my page. So you should have multiple pieces of content that comes out. It should be a home tour. It should be a carousel with photos. It should be what you did to set up that listing, because that also sells you as the listing agent. So it should be multiple pieces of content until it gets sold. Like almost think of it like a campaign. So that would be my top tip. And again, I'll put the post in the caption. I'm sorry, in the chat. I have a post about this, a carousel on my page. But yeah, multi content approach always when you have a listing.
And if you guys are ever like stuck or you feel like you did and exhausted all of the options when it comes to this, use ChatGPT. It's your best friend. You're going to get more ideas, more things that you can throw in there as well. But when you are working at a caliber of a luxury level listing, I think it's super important to make sure that you guys have video tours of the property, really showcasing the property too. So the videos right now, a lot of them are focused on the agent and showcasing themselves. If you go to our global luxury page, we showcase homes without people in them as well. So there's two different approaches that you can take here. It's really what works and what is resonating with the clientele that you are finding.
Or maybe it's leveraging both to Tiffany's point, if you're trying to incorporate a campaign of content, like doing a little bit of everything and having some of those hyper-focused videos that focus in on a specific detail or a specific feature in the property. And I want to kind of rewind a little bit to what Nicole said earlier, where like you don't necessarily have to have a professional videographer doing all these videos. You can just use your phone, just make sure your lens is clean. Like you can use your phone and do a quick recording of the view from the pool or of the workout room, and then tap on some captivating hook on the video, like we talked about one of our content strategies, and have information about the property in the description or in the caption. So I did want to share that. I also want to mention, obviously we are over time. So if anyone needs to leave, obviously feel free to go. Thank you for joining us. But we'll stick on to answer a few other questions if anyone else has questions. So again, feel free to raise your hand, throw them in the chat. I think we might have missed some in the chat. So I'm just going to run through that really quickly and see if we have any unanswered in the chat.
And then for anyone who did have to log off early, or, if you want to share this recording with anybody else, we will post this on our YouTube channel, or you can also find it on cbrmarketingworkshops.com. That's where we put all of our content for field marketing workshops, global luxury workshops. The social team uploads their workshops there too. So it's just a great place to go through and see all of the education content that our teams have worked on putting together for you.
There is a question, actually two of them, but they basically are asking the same thing. So I'll read this out loud to the social team, the gals here, and see what you guys say. So the question basically is, when an agent is trying to put together carousels or like magazine style carousels, like what tools can they use to do that?
I use carousels for my property features every week. So what I do is I have a template that I've created in Canva, and basically I do a little math. So usually it's, 1080 by 1440 is a 3x4. So the 1440 stays the same, and then the 1080 I multiply by the number of slides that I want. So it's one design, but I make it long. So let's say I want it to be 5 images long, I multiply that 1080 by 5. If I want it to be 7 long, I multiply it by 7, right? And then let me pull up the website. I use a website, I think it's called carouselsplitter.com. Carouselmaker.com, that I will drop in the chat. And basically you can upload any image and then you tell it to split it into whatever number of images you want. So once I create my one big image, it'll divide it evenly into the number of images to make a carousel. So I just dropped that in the chat. So I can also share like a Canva template as well. But that's what I use. It's super easy, and I use the same template every single time, and then I always use the same website, and it always cuts it perfectly, so it's seamless when I post.
Tiffany added in the chat too, but she says there are a lot of great Canva templates available that you can purchase off Etsy as well. Okay. Just so you're all aware, we've added almost every single link we've talked about in this chat, every Instagram account, every resource. So if you are looking for any of that, please definitely check out the chat. I don't see any more hands raised. So I'm going to share my slides one more time so we can just run through a couple of additional upcoming opportunities, educational opportunities for anyone who's still on the call. So let me go ahead and do that.
Perfect. Super exciting. We have our monthly social media mastermind next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is actually going to be a very special section because this is our 2026 mid-year update where we are going to be going over 2026 strategies that are working, platform updates, and content ideas. It'll just be the social media time. We're leaving a lot of time for Q&A for you guys. So if you haven't registered yet, go to cbrmastermind.com to save your spot. And we look forward to seeing you there.
And this is just that QR code that you guys can grab really quick just to make sure that you have bookmarked the cbrworkshops.com website that I mentioned. And when you're on this, if you look at the top, it says watch on demand. That links directly to our YouTube channel, where, like I said, you can find all of those pre-recorded workshops. So as we wrap up, I just want to personally say thank you to everyone who joined today and for the engagement that we got. I love when we get to just hear comments and specific things that agents are struggling with in social media or in the market. And so we just get to use those real examples to help you. So thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you all. And hopefully we'll see you on some of our upcoming social media or global luxury workshops.
Hey, thank you, everyone.